All right. Yeah. So again, thanks for having me here. Let me start with personal introduction. Guru Sankararaman, co-founder, CFO, and VP of Operations at Tekion. And I'll start with some personal side of, my journey, and then I'll certainly talk about Tekion as a company. And I'll try to answer any questions you may have, right? I did look through some of the questions before joining this call, and they are pretty good questions. I'm happy to answer some of them if time permits. I was born and brought up in India. I was, I don't know how many of you are, from, the southern part of India, like Tamil Nadu, Chennai. Like I said, I was born and brought up in, South Tamil Nadu, near Madurai. I studied in Coimbatore Institute of Technology. I did my bachelor's in engineering with electrical and electronics discipline. I came out of college. I joined a company called HCL Hewlett Packard. At that time, I was a systems engineer. In those days, it was 94. PCs were becoming a lot more popular. And I had the opportunity to, work on, not just PC technology, but as well as, some of the mini computers. What I mean by mini computers is systems not following the x86 technology, but more on the Unix, side. Like you probably might have heard, like IBM and the HP systems. It was a pretty excellent journey. I was there for about 3 years. And then I left for Singapore. I worked for a, solution provider. That was the time like internet technology was picking up well. I had the opportunity to, do a lot of system integration project in Singapore at that time. And give me 1 second, team. Sorry, I had one of my colleagues walked in the conference room. And I came to US in 98. I worked for a company called Cadence Design System. They are also very, very, I think they have good presence in India, in Bangalore as well as Noida. They are actually a company which produces software to design chips. In fact, their software is used pretty much to design, most of the electronic chips we use in our daily day-to-day life, right? And I was there for about 10 years. And then I was with Cisco for about 3 years. At Cadence, I had the opportunity to, build pretty much the entire Cadence's infrastructure from the data centers and such. I was, part of some growth journey there. I was at Cisco also. I was one of their key architects, who took their next generation networking technology to, to the market in the APAC, region. I was there for about 3 years. I was their, principal architect. I had close to like 60, 70 engineers working with me across the region. And it was a pretty interesting journey. Now let's talk about some fun stuff, I did at Tesla. I had the opportunity, I know I saw one of the questions, about Elon Musk and such, right? It was 2012, in January timeframe. Jay Vijayan, our founder and CEO, he just took the job at Tesla to become their CIO. And at that time, Tesla was like almost like non-existent. It was a very small company, few hundred employees. They were trying to, manufacture their car. They already established the brand, but their first car was a very, very limited production. It's called Roadster, and they stopped production of that vehicle, and then they were trying to produce the Model S, which is their first successful car, right? And Jay called me asking, Guru, I just took over this job. I would love to have you, as part of my leadership team to build the company's infrastructure. So I was at Cisco. I took on that role. It was a phenomenal journey for 4 years. I had the opportunity to build pretty much all the digital system and infrastructure and be part of that journey for about 4 years. And in that journey, we built Tesla. If you look at it, they are over a $600 billion company. And pretty much Tesla's all internal systems, including the ERP and Tesla.com's their e-commerce system, and the retail systems, factory systems, anything and everything they use internally as software. The internal digital, nervous system was built, by Jay and team. I was part of that team. I had the opportunity to be there. And while coming out of Tesla, somebody is requesting whether I can turn on my video. Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you see me?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Yes, sir.
Sure. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to, again, come out of Tesla and work with Jay to, start Tekion, being a co-founder of the company. I'm very proud of where we are. I would like to quickly share just one slide about Tekion, and then we can get to the questions. Give me 1 second. Okay, can you allow me to share my screen?
I guess you have permission to share the screen.
Okay, I joined as Guru Sankararaman.
Yeah,
Can you?
I'm making a post right now.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. I guess you can share your screen now.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. You can see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
All right. So Tekion was founded in 2016. After coming out of Tesla, Jay and myself co-founded Tekion. And then our first product was launched, within 3 years. We did a lot of product research and validation, ideation in the first, year or two. And then in 2019, we launched, actually we had our first beta alpha product in 2018 itself, but we had the mainstream product in 2019. And in August 2019, we actually did our first pilot on automotive retail cloud. I'll explain what automotive retail cloud is, and then certainly I'll take on any questions later. If you look at automotive industry in US as well as across the globe, the systems, the software used to sell cars as well as service cars in the dealerships, it's basically so antiquated, especially in US. It's about 20, 30, 40 years ago, the software was written before pretty much any of you are born, right? It's that antiquated. And what we have done is basically built the foundation for running the automotive retail in the dealership world. We built the first true cloud native automotive retail cloud platform. And so look at it this way. automotive industry is the second largest consumer industry in the world. So after housing, it's a multi-trillion dollar industry. And the software used to transact, do business is like 30, 40 years old. So you're all like, using, Facebook or any consumer platforms use the coolness, the power of that you have. None of that is existent. They are actually using like DOS green screens and, like I said, so antiquated, right? What we have built is that first true cloud native platform, bringing the power of the cloud to a real business application. And from that point onwards, we signed up a very large enterprise agreement with, General Motors, and we did our Series C funding, like close to $1 billion valuation in July 2020. And we signed up like close to 500 dealers, and we have 100 plus dealers are live in 40 plus states. Over 1,800 dealers are signed up for different products. In 2021 March, we did an expansion in Canada, and 1,000th Tekion employee, was joined recently. We have about 1,200 employees globally, and we have signed a very large digital retail agreement with General Motors. General Motors is the largest car maker in US. They have like a 25% of dealerships in US. It belongs to General Motors network. So this is like a high level Tekion milestones. And so these are all our key investors. General Motors, is one of our key investor as an OEM, and BMW and Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, these are all like big OEMs. They have invested in Tekion, and General Motors and BMW, they are part of Tekion's board. And XR, this is the parent company of Fiat Chrysler, Ferrari, all those cool brands you can think of. And Index Ventures is one of the largest VC firm, very, very successful VC firm. They're right here in Silicon Valley. They are a big investor in Tekion. Airbus Ventures, they are the venture arm for Airbus. And AME Cloud Ventures, the Jerry Yang, the founder of Yahoo, and the ex-CEO of Yahoo, it belongs to him. He's a big investor here at Tekion. Advent International, it's one of the largest PE firms in the world. They are a big investor in Tekion also. So these are all our key investors. And like I said, this is the first and the fastest cloud native platform, right? I would like to share one quick video, and then I would love to go into the questions. All right. The video, what I will be showing is about our platform. All right. So yeah, the video what you saw is available in our website also. It just quickly shows you the product breadth and what we have as a part of the platform. And most of the development is being done in India. We have two development centers, one in Bangalore and one in Chennai. The Bangalore is the largest one, and we actually do a lot of campus hiring and hire some of the best engineers from the country. They work for us, and they're really good to do a lot of cool stuff. If you're really good in software engineering and programming and such, you should look forward to work for a company like Tekion because it's real fun in building some really powerful applications. So with that, I would love to answer any questions.
Anyone feel free to just ask questions to sir. Or if you are
Or
not.
do you want me to go through the question list, Amit?
No, sir. We'll go through it afterwards. But if someone is in the meet and having his question, he may ask it now.
Yeah, you can unmute one by one and ask question to Sam.
Yeah, I see there is a question in the chat, right? How was the transition from working for someone to founding a company? How similar and different was it? Yeah, that's a very good question. See, I was never an entrepreneur. And, when I was at Tesla, that's when, I really started like, what would be like, being part of building a product and taking it successfully to market and, what that really means. Because at Tesla, when I joined, like I said, the company almost like didn't, exist, right? Again, at that time, the prototype was there. They were trying to manufacture the vehicle and such. But the real work started in late 2012, after I joined. And I was able to see the journey of Tesla, from like almost, in the very, very early days to, very successful time, right? And so when Jay actually, by the way, our, founder and CEO, Jay, huge visionary, and he always wanted to build, powerful business application in cloud. And when we were looking for opportunities to really do something in the industry, and Jay thought, automotive is the, right one to focus on, and especially coming out of Tesla. And, predominantly it's Jay's vision. And I was able to take part not in Tesla, but also in Tekion to do what we have done so far. And definitely, there was a transition, but being part of Tesla made it easier to become a real entrepreneur.
Yeah, sure, Sam.
So another question somebody has for you is, why did you leave Tesla?
Yeah, leaving Tesla was, difficult decision, right? I had the opportunity to work, for a very successful company, and had the opportunity to work closely with Elon Musk. We may not necessarily interact on a regular basis, but I had the opportunity to interact a few times, and taking, the vision from Elon and, being part of, executing and such. It was really great. But, like I said, joining hands with Jay, trying to execute, what we are doing now, it definitely interested me a lot. And, that was the reason I left Tesla. Otherwise, it was a real fun journey for me being there. And Tesla, again, after we left also, it grew multiple times, and, it is continuing to grow. And for me, it's really exciting to see, being an outside, from outside, right? And now we have the opportunity to disrupt the entire automotive industry, right? So being part of Tesla is one successful journey, but now the opportunity is to help transform, the automotive retail for the entire industry itself. So which is quite exciting.
Right, sir.
Yeah, sure, sir. So, sir, there is one more question from Nimisha. She is asking, what is the toughest problem while starting the startup of Tekion?
So what is the meaning of Tekion? Is that the question?
Yeah, sir, somewhat like that. Like, what were the problems you faced?
Yeah, I'll give the meaning of Tekion. It's a fun thing to say. While we were at Tesla, the fabric, the digital nervous system we built, Tesla's internal operating system, codenamed as Warp Drive. Warp Drive, Warp Speed, you probably may know what it is. It's light speed, and allowed Tesla to execute at light speed, and became as successful as it has been, right? And when we came out of Tesla, definitely we were looking for something which would, we were trying to see whether anything better than, light speed. What we do, it has to be better than what we were able to do Tesla, especially to make an impact for the entire industry, right? So, is there anything faster than light? And some of you may know, this hypothetically faster particle, which is tachyon. If you search for tachyon, you would find it. It's tachyonic speed and such. If you watch like Star Trek, in some of the Flash, it's one of the very like sci-fi series and such. You would hear that more. So it's like faster than light. And the reason why we chose it is, like I said, we want to definitely make a bigger impact to automotive and chose that name. And also, anything we do, we want to do it in a way, not just disrupt and, the most agile way and most efficient way possible, and, bring the change sooner. So the speed is in the name of Tekion itself. So, I just want to highlight that.
Right, sir. Thank you. So one question that almost everyone wants to ask is, have you met Elon Musk and how was your experience like?
Yeah. I had the opportunity to definitely meet multiple times. And obviously, we all worked in the same office and such, and it's great. Elon Musk, as you all can imagine, a great visionary. And he always, has the bigger, broader vision and the drive to bring the kind of change, the industry, entire humankind needs, and right in both space and as well as in the electric vehicle space. Certainly, for me personally, it was quite fulfilling, and whenever I had the opportunity to interact and being able to execute many of his directions, absolutely, yeah.
Sure, thank you, sir. So another question we have is, did your experience of over 30 years in industry help you in building your company as a co-founder view, but not only as a tech guy? In contrast, will it be easy to start a startup in college years, or is it better to get some industry experience first before having a startup?
Yeah, very good question. If you look at anyone, right, whether successful entrepreneurs, you will find them starting their first company, in at different stages in life. So there is nothing like, oh, you got to do your, first startup after 20 years of experience, or maybe you have to do it just right out of college. There is no such thing. So you literally need to look at, what you want to do. If you are so passionate about solving a problem and want to be an entrepreneur, you can be an entrepreneur. The only thing is, many times the industry experience, it teaches you stuff which is very difficult to get it through, hearing from people. So if you surround yourself with the right people as part of your team, end of the day, any entrepreneur you look at, their success is not just their vision, but they need a good team. So if you surround yourself with the right people, you can actually start a company, as early as right out of the college. And, there is nothing like you got to have industry experience and such. You just need to be mindful of, that, experience and knowledge, it is handy at times.
Right, sir. So another
Sure.
question for you is, what are the difficulties you've had to face in the initial phase of your startup?
I think, first of all, you need to know what problem you are trying to solve, and you got to have good amount of validation. It's not like, you're asking somebody, hey, is it a good idea or not? It's not like that. The validation has to be, from your customers, someone who would buy your product, who would be ready to pay for it. And those are all the basic things you need to check. And getting those validations is critical. For us, actually, good news has been like, we were able to get some really good validation for the problem we are solving. And for any entrepreneur, not getting validation is just one thing, but finding the right team, people who can execute, on what you want to do. Again, we are fortunate to have a good team, but certainly it takes time and effort to the right team, right? And obviously you need somebody who could give you the money and believe that you can solve the problem and build a successful product and multiply, their money, right? And, you need to convince people to do that. And usually that is the toughest part, especially when somebody asked me earlier, right? I was trying to answer that question, whether if you're out of college and if you don't have that credibility, if somebody is, giving you money, you got to convince them to give the money, right? So at times it's very difficult, especially without that prior startup experience. It's difficult to have people to give you the money. And so, yeah, certainly, I can highlight some of these things as, if you're trying to get an answer, like what is the toughest part in the journey, the earlier, these are all the things you could have, as, constraints. But in any startup, I can tell you one thing, you need to really be ready to accept and adapt to challenges and be able to, solve those and have the drive in you to take it to the end. It's not like, oh, if I solve this problem, I'm going to be in like, really good place. It's not like that. If you solve one problem, obviously you need to solve another 10 more, and another 10 more is going to come through as you get through. As you become more successful, as you solve more problems, you may not be solving the same problem again and again, right? You will have new challenges and such. So as you solve more problems, that you are progressing in your journey. You are going through quite a bit of milestones and such. So always remember to look back and to give yourself the confidence that you are actually going in the right path. That always helps you when you do a look back. Yeah, so I did solve these problems, and certainly I can do more. So anyway, again, I'm not sure how many of you wanting to be an entrepreneur, something for you to remember.
Right. Thank you, sir. That makes sense.
Sure.
So another question for you. When you started Tekion, were there existing competitors in automotive retail platform? What were the challenges to differentiate your business model from theirs? And is differentiating business model sufficient to enter the market with similar ideas?
Yeah, so definitely there are existing competitors, right? Like I said, earlier, our competition has been pretty antiquated systems. And, even though they have antiquated systems, obviously they have a lot of customers and such. For us, like we have to not only build a really good product, but also, we need to take it to market and, be able to convert those customers, right? So that's the part we are going through. And the differentiating business model, I can tell you, there is one slide I have, but I don't want to bore you with too many slides, where we do have solid differentiation. If you look at automotive retail business, the dealerships, typically they have like 30, 40 different tools to do their business. So there is something called dealer management system. We call it DMS. That DMS is the core operating system for the dealership. And then on top of that, they have like 20, 30 different tools to, completely run the end-to-end business. What we have done is to build not only the platform, but to eliminate most of the tools the dealerships would need to, run their operations. It's not like we want to take over, everybody's job. We just want to create that frictionless, seamless journey. So, and that actually creates a lot of efficiency for dealerships, right? They don't need to pay for all the tools and such. We are also pretty good in integrating with, many different software providers who serve in the industry if they share our vision and want to be part of our journey also. So we do that too. But anyway, the biggest differentiation is, trying to provide that seamless, platform, frictionless platform. So you don't need to use many tools to do it. And then, creating that efficiency the dealerships needs. I think the last question is differentiating business model is sufficient to enter the market with similar ideas. It's just one of the many things you need, right? Business model is just one thing. You got to have a good idea. You really need to make sure that you are solving the real customer problem. You don't want to just, go with the mindset that, well, if I do this, customers would buy. You got to really think twice if you have that approach. You got to put yourself in customer shoes and would somebody pay for it, right? That's a simple thing you have to ask yourself. If I do this, would somebody pay for it? And if you are a customer, would you buy, right? And differentiating business model is not the only one. At that point, you will realize I got to have a product which somebody is actually willing to pay for it. That's something, the core fundamental thing. All right.
Right, so that makes sense. We have a couple of more questions in the chat box.
Sure.
Another one we have is that as an entrepreneur, we need to have a high pain threshold. As your company had your alpha product 2 years after starting your startup. So how did you had the motivation to go through that pain phase, as you will not be having any revenue, but just spending money to build the product? And how did you find the correct angel investors or seed venture capitalists?
Yeah, another good question, right? So see, any startup, they're not going to make money out of the gate. They're going to spend money, invest in their product journey, and build a very compelling product. And until then, you're not going to be profitable, right? So the investors know that. No investor is going to come in and then saying, hey, I will not invest unless you are profitable, right? That happens only in the later stage, right? They want to see solid growth. They want to see the path for profitability if you don't have profitability yet, right? So in the very early stage, they are looking for, your idea, your ability to execute, and will it be successful, right? So those are all the basic things they would look at. For us, we have the credibility, coming out of Tesla, doing, what we did there. Certainly, we were able to, create the right level of interest with the right investors. So we were able to do that. And also we had the right ideas. We showed a path how we can actually build not only a great product, but actually build a successful company. And that is pretty important. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to think like that.
Right, sir.
Right? Sure.
So another question is if you could guide us through the funding process, and how do you convince people to give the funding when we don't have an established presence in the market?
Yeah, see, convincing anyone to give you money is not easy, right? But always, go back to the basics. Like I said earlier in answering some of the questions, if you have a really good idea, if you can showcase, you can solve it, even building a prototype and showing that you can do it, you should be able to convince people. There are a lot of investors, they are looking for brilliant people who can actually execute and deliver. Remember, there are going to be a lot of people are going to be like you, trying to do the same thing and, looking for money for investment, to execute their ideas and such. So it's important that you actually have a differentiating idea and be able to execute.
Right, sir. Thank you for that.
Sure.
So another question we have is, how are you able to build yourself as an entrepreneur and have an entrepreneur-like intuition while you were working as a core system engineer?
Yeah, good question. I don't know, I don't know how to answer this. I always wanted to be part of successful companies. And, being in Silicon Valley, I saw in front of my own eyes, saw successful companies from Google, Facebook, Instagram, and you name all the good successful companies in the last 20, 30 years, right? I've been able to, watch how successful they had been. And I always, visualized me being part of that kind of journey. So when Tesla came along, it was a no-brainer for me. And so that itself, I can say that, being part of a successful journey. So maybe that entrepreneurship is just with me all the time. It's just that, I didn't get the opportunity to be a real entrepreneur. I think through Jay's vision, I was able to, take part in this journey, which is great, So certainly, I'm sure if you aspire yourself to be part of successful companies, maybe you want to be an entrepreneur too. And someday you want to execute and, be that entrepreneur who, brings vision to life.
Sure, sir. Right. So another question that we have is basically, what are the rivals for you in this industry, and is physical dealership one of them?
Yeah, no, we are actually a provider to the dealerships, right? We are a systems provider for dealership business. We are not rivals to dealerships. Dealerships are our customers. There are other system providers like Tekion. They are our competition. And there are people who we partner with also. If any software company who wants to partner with Tekion, to solve a problem for dealership has, and if our visions align, certainly we are allies. In fact, actually not competing, and we can actually, provide the right system for dealerships.
Right, sir. Thank you. So we'll take a couple of, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. Meanwhile, we'll take a few questions from this spreadsheet. So we had one question which asked about what is the future of automatic vehicles in India, given the present traffic conditions, or self-driven vehicles in general?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at autonomous vehicles, right? I think the question is about that. It was, I think 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I was in Delhi. I had the opportunity to talk to someone who was actually building autonomous vehicle capability in India, for Indian traffic conditions. In fact, actually, they gave a small demo at that time, test drive of a vehicle. It was pretty amazing, right? Definitely there are aspiring entrepreneurs who want to build vehicles which would actually, can work in India traffic condition, and maybe even contributing to, help solve some of those traffic condition issues, say traffic issues. So, I mean, in India, obviously, probably one of the worst, traffic situation where people don't necessarily follow the traffic rules. Any software algorithm you build, has to be super robust to be able to operate, right? I think definitely at some point in the future, we would have autonomous vehicles as intelligent to handle any kind of situation in traffic, might work there. But I believe it's going to take some time. You will see some of that is happening in, probably well-developed countries where traffic rules are a lot more predictable, and traffic conditions are a lot more predictable, and then from there, it will evolve further to work in India.
Right, sir. So would you be willing to take up a couple of more questions?
Sure.
Sure. Thank you, sir. We have one question. So as you will also be recruiting the product managers and core engineers, would you prefer a person having an MBA with 2 years experience from renowned university, or a person with 5 years of core engineering experience with some managerial experience as well?
Yeah, so I believe this question for product managers, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
product managers, we have people who have gone through proper academic curriculum to become product managers. Like, for example, I have seen people doing like a mechanical engineering or some engineering and then taking, some masters in product management, which involves like some UX type of curriculum and, some cognitive science related, papers and such, and then take an internship for a product management role and then becoming a product manager. I have seen that kind of path. In fact, we have successful product managers who have, done that. We also have people who actually, came from, very little automotive experience, coming in with maybe some software engineering, actual engineering development experience, and then wanting to be a product manager. We have those examples also. So it's not like, we would prefer, you have to do only this or you have to come through this path or that path. Our bar for product managers are pretty simple. Our product managers are like entrepreneurs, right? What I mean by that is you should be solving customer problems. Customers should be willing to pay for it, right? So that's the real entrepreneur. So if successful product managers are like that, and they have to come with some really good ideas and having the empathy for customers and being able to build the product journey in the simplest way possible and solving the problems in the most elegant way, right? If you have those, attributes and, if you're passionate to do those things, you can be a product manager, with none of these things what you have asked. You can become an intern and, take a associate product manager type of role and, you can, progress to become a product manager.
Right, sir.
Sure.
So one question that everyone wants to know is how can we be hired by Tesla? So any insights to that?
Tesla, do they have, I haven't followed up recently. Do they have an office in India? Are they hiring in India?
So I'm not quite sure about that. Anybody
Yeah.
else?
They have upcoming offices in Delhi, I guess,
Yes.
Yeah.
in upcoming years.
Yeah. So what do you want to do in Tesla? Do you want to become a autonomous vehicle engineer or what do you want to do?
I guess, sir, they are asking in general, like any role if they want to pursue in Tesla.
Yeah. So, Tesla, definitely always, a lot of the stuff what I said, right? They always look for good talent and if you exhibit, great talent, I don't think there will be any issues to become a software engineer or working for, again, I just don't have any idea about like if at all, they have any office in India, what exactly roles they're hiring. But certainly if you aspire to, become a successful software engineer or product manager, you can certainly take for those, look for those roles and apply. I can speak for Tekion, certainly. If you want to join Tekion and want to be successful there, like I said, we have some, we hire from IITs, we hire from, tier 2 colleges and such. I believe, our team will be visiting your campus. If any of you are actually at the final year, you can definitely apply and, some other stuff what I described earlier, answering to the questions, if you're up for it, yeah, you can.
Yes, sir. I was going to ask about Tekion, how to get placed in Tekion. You answered directly.
Sure, Amit, yeah.
Right, so we're looking forward to that. We'll just have two more questions actually. One question is that how do you build a productive company culture?
So how do you build company culture, is it?
Yes, sir. Along that line.
Yeah, see, there is nothing like, we have to, build some culture and such. So most of the times it comes from top down, right? From the founders to, top exec level through, everyone, right? I can speak for Tekion. When we started Tekion, there are a few things we truly, believed in. We wanted to make sure that our employees, they really truly enjoy, working for Tekion. And also we wanted to make sure that our employees get some really good value, working for here, right? So what I mean by that is many times you're all young, looking for a career, and most of the times success means, money, right? Or maybe, titles, and social status and all of that, right? Yes, definitely they are all important, but success also means upgrading your skills and also means, the impact you could have on not just your career, in other people's life and all of that, right? For me, all these years working for different companies, I could pick Tesla and, now Tekion, the biggest impact, right? Because I was part of a journey where I could, say that I made some really good impact, in not just in my career, but also, the industry we serve. So in our opinion, I think that's what value really means. And these are all the things when you start believing in these things, it becomes the culture, right? Where, like, for example, one another thing for us, like customers, we absolutely want to make sure that our customers are the most important, people for us, right? So we wanted to, go above and beyond and make sure that our customers, we just deserve their customers' business, right? And these things actually become beliefs and become part of the culture. So you have a lot of characteristics, build upon in delivering these things, right? So that's how the company culture forms in. So, like I said, you don't necessarily put a lot of effort in trying to, build a culture, but it kind of like a lot of that comes from some of these beliefs and core values as founders, we set up with.
Right. Thank you, sir. We take the last question for today, and we're all very looking forward for this answer. So, as you have offices in India, would you like to come to IIT BHU for placements for associate product managers as well as core engineers?
Absolutely, yeah. So I have already put up a word with our, in fact, actually we are shortlisting the colleges we want to, go this year. I have put up a word with our HR team. They will be, in fact, visiting in IIT BHU, so certainly we are looking forward to that.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. This brings us to the end of a wonderful session. We're very inspired and motivated at this moment. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I'll be handing over the mic to Abhishek Bhaiya for the conduction.
Yeah, sure, Tanya. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your amazing journey with the startup ecosystem here. It was a great session. It's time now to wrap up this talk. On behalf of the ESL IIT BHU, I thank you for taking out your precious 90 minutes from today's evening and sharing your valuable knowledge and experiences, giving us fruitful insight into the era of entrepreneurship. I'm sure that everyone learned a lot from today's session. Also, thanks to all the attendees who joined in to make this session interactive and engaging. Thank you, everyone. Take care and goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for having me here.